No, you look great. Hi, everybody. It's Natalie from Creative Makers. I'm just straightening this up. There we go. It's Natalie from Creative Makers, and I'm so happy to see you. I am here today with Aleka Corwin.
Hello, everybody.
And I'm really excited to talk to her about. I've been walking through the house here, and I've been seeing all her work, and it's pretty yummy. So we're going to get into it right now. All right, so first question, and the only question I ever ask is, I want to know what your creative life looked like as a kid.
My creative life as a kid was very rich. My mom was a abstract painter for most of her, for all of her life. She died at the age of 85, and she started working as an artist at 14.
Oh my gosh.
So she, as a kid in high school, she went to the Art Students League at night. She did all these unconventional things. She was very bohemian. She was very progressive. And she was a feminist before there was even a glimmer of feminist in anyone's vocabulary. So she urged us to create. And I would create at home because all the materials were there. I went to art classes with her friends who were other abstract artists, so it was just great. Then I went to music and art, which was a high school for the arts, became the FAME school.
And this was in New York?
In New York.
She's from New York.
I grew up
I just want to
in
tell
apartments.
There's 10 people watching right now.
Oh,
hello,
hi,
10
everybody.
people. Hello, Kathleen White. I saw somebody named Roxanne, and hi, Alexa. People are saying they want to get to know you better. So I'm sorry that I interrupted.
No.
Okay. Anyway, so you're from New York.
I'm from New York. The Museum of Modern Art was like where we met after school. I was in school in the city, and they were working. She had a studio on Chambers Street before it was like Soho or NoHo or whatever. Yeah. And we would step over drunks to get into her studio and take the big elevator, the freight elevator. It was a real studio that she shared with people. And so I had a very rich life, and bombarded from all directions. And they loved to travel. They dragged us around. And I grew up thinking the world was colorful and that I had to be an artist, which is a problem because when you have a parent who's an artist, it's a little overwhelming. And as a result, I have a storage area full of fantastic sculptures, canvases, and prints, which I have to deal with at some point.
From her mom.
From my mom.
And we were talking about this, that there needs to be a support group for this sort of thing. That if you have a parent who's an artist, that leaves you with lots of stuff. Because how could they not leave you with lots of stuff?
And they trust you, in a sense, to take care of it. Which I have assumed that trust. It's called Adult Children of Dead Artists. And so if anybody has a dead artist in your family, we should talk.
All right, so I'm going to just see. You're supposed to be pulling up me talking.
Oh, so the last thing I wanted to say was that as a result of having a mother who was very active in the art world, I remember when I was very little, we went to the Cedar Bar, which is where all the abstract artists of New York, men, would congregate at night. So my mom took me and my dad, and we went to the Cedar. I should turn that off.
What is that?
That's my phone.
Oh!
Let me turn that off.
Yeah.
Can we stop?
No, go ahead. She's going to go turn it off. I'm going to hang out here. Hi, Cindy. Oh. So let me say hi to everybody while I'm here. Suzanne, Cindy, Kathleen, Lisa, Suzanne again. More Suzanne. Also, the aspect of me leaving my art for my children one day. That's what Cindy's talking about, as an artist herself. Yeah. And Doreen's saying, same for what my family would do with all my stuff. Yeah. Yeah, you start thinking about that, right? When you start accumulating things, because you're an artist and maybe you're a little bit of a hoarder, right? Right? I mean, it just is.
I've been a hoarder for my whole life, but now it's become fashionable to recycle and upcycle and this, that, all these things. So I have all this stuff that I'm reusing or gathering or whatever.
So you were saying you guys went to this bar and it was where all the male abstract,
the famous people that are, selling this stuff for millions of dollars. There were very few women artists, and there very few women abstract artists that got any recognition of their work at all. And they were usually married to one of the other artists. Jackson Pollock had Lee Krasner and Helen Frankenthaler, and all these people who were married to other famous artists, and then there was the substrata below that was a lot of artists that had cooperative galleries, struggled very hard, entered everything they could, worked all their lives as artists, and that was what my mom was, and she's recognized to a small degree.
Well, but I mean, the fact that she was strong enough to walk into these bars as a female artist and say, "Here I am," amongst all these men. I don't know if she was more respected for that or less respected for that. It must have been hard. I'm not even
sure she was noticed, and the fact that she was a mother and had a child in tow was probably a strike against her.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it was an exciting way to grow up, and gave me a taste, which I sort of avoided for many years, although I always said I was an artist and I always taught art and I always created some sort of art or sketched or whatever. But basically I went into the film industry and was both theater and film. I was first a prop maker, then an art director, then a set decorator.
Wow.
So, but the prop making was where all of my work comes from, because I learned to work cheap, quick, and easy, particularly in children's theater when I did that. Cheap, cardboard was our main...
Right, it's stiff, it's moldable, it's everything. Mm-hmm. You can do a lot with it.
You can make armor with it. Well, you would like that.
I would like that. So then did you actually go to college and study?
Yes, I went to Sarah Lawrence, and I was an art, French, and classics major. So I combined all of those things. Interestingly enough, I lived in France. I studied in France for a while. And the classic stuff keeps coming up in my work now because I use sort of mythological imagery to a certain degree. Sometimes I invent the myth, but I'm working on beginning a series called Women Who Were Misinterpreted Through History. And so I have Circe. I'm working on a piece about Circe, who was a sorceress in the Odyssey, who turned men into animals, swine. But she was a very powerful sorceress, and these were men who were invading her world. So she had her own world, and they would invade, and she'd just use them and turn them into swine and whatever she wanted to. That's one of my misinterpreted women. And then I have Lilith. That you have a picture of Lilith in the diorama.
The black and white or the flower one?
The one with all the flowers around her. That's Lilith. Lilith, who's Adam's first wife, but she was uncontrollable, so they booted her out. And she became a very powerful demoness in her own right. And then the third person I've been working on, I have another diorama about Lucrezia Borgia, who was...
I don't know who she is.
Okay, I'll tell you. The Borgias were a very powerful family in Renaissance Italy. One of them was a pope. They controlled a lot of commerce, and they spread out all over Italy, which was then city-states. And so they married her off. She was very, very headstrong, very powerful, and she had to educate herself because she was, of course, the daughter in a family that didn't respect women. So they married her off to a brute in someplace like Naples, and she ended up poisoning him because he was a brute.
Well, that's what
And
you get sometimes.
That's
Sorry,
her bad
guys.
rap. Her bad rap is, misinterpreted by history. Was that she was a poisoner. She went down in history as a poisoner, when in fact she lived a very full life and lived to be very old and did command a lot of power at the end of her life. So that's the 3 I've done so far, and there are and then
I'm thinking Mary Magdalene would fit into this sort
Mary
of thing.
Magdalene would fit in there.
And I'm sure that there's others.
Medea who killed her children. Medea, I think, who had was her hair the snakes?
Yeah, that was Medusa, right?
Medusa. So Medusa's another one.
Yes.
Medea is the one who killed her children in revenge. I don't remember. Oh, for Helen. Wasn't it for Helen of Troy?
I don't know my mythology very well at all. I can't expand. So you went to Sarah Lawrence. What was your major then?
Classics. I learned Attic Greeks. I interpreted.
Okay, so it was classics.
Yeah, classics, French, because I wanted to go to France on junior year, and art. I was painting all the way through. By the way, my painting teacher, who was a man named Carmen Cicero, said about the second class in, none of you will be painting in 30 years. Which is not a good thing to say at a women's college.
Why would he say such a horrible thing?
It's a women's college.
Because he thought maybe you'd all be like pregnant and grandmothers and whatever else.
So anyway, first mistake the college made was to hire a man instead of a woman artist.
What?
Second mistake they made was to hire someone who was sexist to begin with in a women's college. Third mistake they made was to have someone who would say that, although I always remembered it, and I'm still painting after all these years. So perhaps it was maybe meant as a cattle prod to prod people into, but I'm not sure.
Also, I mean, not to give away your age or anything, but it was a while ago where there was still some sort of idea that women did nothing but have children and take care of their men.
Right, and that was before the feminist art movement. In fact, the feminist art movement, which started about 1973, was the reason I came to LA, because I was chasing Judy Chicago and her coterie of women artists who were trying to forge something new. So I went to Cal Arts, that's where she started her program. Then she did Woman House, which I read about. Actually, I was in Africa in the Peace Corps when someone brought me this little newspaper about women artists, and I thought, that's what I'm going to do. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
How did you end up in the Peace Corps?
After college.
This is another piece of the puzzle I was not expecting.
So many pieces. After college, I got married impulsively at the age of 20. Not to the husband I have now, but to someone who I thought was a poet. And he was a poet at that moment, but he was also depressive. So we stayed married for 10 years, but one of the things that we didn't know what to do with our lives, so we went into the Peace Corps, and we went to West Africa, which also influenced my work so much. The colors and the abstract sculptures and the fabric, all of that stuff.
I can't stop because I really want to. Oh, I did see something. Hold on. Before I go any further, I saw somebody say something. Medea killed her children because Jason left her.
Great.
That's what
There
Lisa
you
says.
go.
Thank you, Lisa. It
Thanks,
was common in
Lisa.
all art schools to be told that none of us would still be working as artists, men and women. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh, Mary's there too. Hi, everybody.
Mary says your story would make a good movie. All right.
And Cindy's there. Hi, Cindy.
Oh, you know Cindy Rennie?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Hi.
Yeah.
I know all these people. Yay.
That's awesome. God. All right. So as we talk about...
We're not stuck there, are we?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I hope not. Are you stuck? It could just be, no, we're not sticking. All right. I just, as she's talking about being influenced by West African art and by Mexican art, this is a piece that was done. Look at it. Look at it.
He's got 6 eyes.
He's got 6 eyes.
A lot of my masks have more than one set of eyes because I feel that way about myself. I have to have more than one set of eyes.
You need to
live
see
in the
everything.
world. Yeah.
So let's talk about this piece and why you did it and what happened.
Okay.
And everything.
This piece was my first, how can I describe it? My daughter calls it trash art, but I like to say recycled art, I think, because when the pandemic hit, I had just come back from San Miguel de Allende, and I was all inspired by the colors and the masks and paper mache and stuff that I had been working with children and as a theater prop person. And I was stuck at home. Suddenly we were all stuck at home.
By the way, San Miguel is in Mexico.
San Miguel is in Mexico. It's sort of a little art colony, and it's very, very wonderful. So I would take walks during the pandemic, solitary walks, and I would pass by the blue bins, and they were usually gaping open because people at that time were buying new computers, were ordering cases of wine, were ordering everything online that came packed in the most amazing packing materials. And I thought, what could I do? What could I do while I'm trapped here? And I thought, I could make masks. And so I started a series called Crazy COVID Clown Masks.
Is this part of it?
She's a later edition. I can show you.
Here, tell me which one.
Okay.
No, don't leave.
Okay, so Tiger. Up there, at the very tippy top, is a Crazy COVID Clown mask. And then...
It's more complicated than I thought.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
You can just unhook. And then Flora, which is the one with the flowers sticking out.
This one?
Yeah.
That I was talking about before?
Yeah.
I was talking about.
So this is Tiger. And my fantasy, and it might come true at some point, Mary, because this is sort of the idea I had about the dancers wearing masks. Although this one I'd have to rig if we wanted to do. So when you put on a mask, you become a different person, a different creature. No one knows your real identity. You assume a new identity, right? Right? And you can move. And you can...
So
you become a superpower, a superhuman, a super creature by putting on a mask. So I started to do these masks, which I'd done a lot with little children and medium-sized children at a summer camp I worked at every summer for years. And so...
I just want... but bring that one back for just a second, please. I just want to point out, so... egg cartons and other things that, here, I'm going to bring it up close so that you can see a little bit better.
Yeah, this is found pressed cardboard from the recycling bins.
Now, how did you get it to be round?
Oh, that's paper mache. I use paper mache as a base, and then I glued stuff on. Now this, when it's upside down, here, this is the stuff that...
This is like the packing stuff to protect it.
These are egg cartons over here, the ears. This is some other piece of, I'm not even sure what. The teeth, I'm not even sure what. I mean, it's just, you go into a sort of a trance state creating things when, I go into a trance state when I'm creating things and things just come together.
And I just want to point out, I mean, not only is it a beautifully made mask, but look at the painting on this thing. I mean, the painting is even more intricate than the actual mask making, the sculptural making of this. I mean, it is just beautiful.
And then, and this is Flora. Flora is one of the goddesses that I was talking about. She's under-recognized, but she's very She's the goddess of spring, the Roman goddess of spring, which of course precedes Rome by many, 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 by probably a millennium. And she's the person, the goddess, responsible for plants, seeds, fertility.
Just everything.
Everything. She's very important. But she's a minor deity in the Roman.
And again, I mean, the mask making itself is beautiful, but look at all the painting on this. It's a work of art all by itself, just the painting.
This is also decoupage. You can see it's little pieces of
Paper.
paper glued on. And the flowers are made of different papers. And these are toilet paper tubes. This is egg cartons. Here's probably a paper towel tube that would in the mouth. So, so basically the materials are free. You just need to. I had someone save me materials, and I went over there and got them just the other day, and it was a lovely experience because I felt like I was doing her a favor because she had them piled up, you know, and I was doing myself a favor because I got lots more materials to work with.
And also, I mean, you're saving stuff from being in the landfill.
I'm saving stuff. That's the most important thing. I did a piece, which I don't have here, but which is online for the Audubon Center, and was a thing about windows or frames. And so I created all these, because it was the Audubon Center, I had several birds and animals from Southern California, and it was all made out of plastic because it had to not decompose. It was going to be outside for about 6 weeks, and I had to use non-biodegradable anything. So I had a lot of fun. I used foam from packing cases, and you could carve this foam, and it was really fun. And I used plastic bottles and pill bottles and a spray bottle that became a toucan.
Oh, what a great idea!
Yeah. And I had a lot of fun doing a tour with families that came in to show them what everything was in terms of animal or flora or fauna, and what everything was made of in terms of pill bottles and spray bottles and Lunchables and things like that. So, you know, my goal is for schools to be able to not throw things away, but to recycle Lunchable cases and this and that, so that they can turn them into artwork. It's art materials. This is a piece that I just added this background because I thought it was a little more, like those heads that you put on the wall. What are those called? You know, those, when you mount a deer's head on the wall.
Oh, like that. Okay.
So I wanted to do a background, so I something to mount it on. So this is this. It's not, I have to do some more work to make it more mask-like by carving the inside out, just cutting that. And then you'll be able to wear it with a head, as a headpiece. So this is called Wonder Woman. Another one of our female heroines, our heroines. So Wonder Woman, of course, is she Marvel or she's something? Anyway, so this is made of old comic books, and the reason Wonder Woman is because you can see her in there, very old comic books.
Here, let me move her a little forward.
You can see she's in there, little images of Wonder Woman.
Going to be hard to see.
Yeah, I think you can see it's right in her mouth.
In her mouth. In her mouth. There you go. Anyway, I mean, it's, again, beautifully painted, beautiful constructions. Hello, once again, late to the party, but love the work. Yeah, she does amazing work. This is Julia.
Thank you.
Talking about
Julia.
Talking about your work. So, you mentioned to me before we got online that you, besides working in theater, did you also work with children?
I Yes, I'm teaching right now. I teach parent-child art classes, and the mothers, and not just mothers, I have grandmothers and dads and aunties. Everybody comes and we do a lot. I put a lot of material out and then I demonstrate what you can do with them. And then they just sit and work. They're having a lot of fun. Often the kids finish because they have a shorter attention span. Those of you who are teachers know, you can gauge at what point the kids are going to be done. And it's about 20-25 minutes in, unless it's something that really, like stickers. They really like to put stickers on. They can work forever. So I take the kids and we do big paper and crayons, and then the moms, the dads, and the grannies finish their work. So they never get a chance to do any work on their own because they're taking care of children. But in this area, they can come away with something that they can show people as well. So I teach children, and I did work at a summer camp for about maybe 35 years.
That's
Summer
a
camp.
bit of time.
It was in New Hampshire. I was working in the film industry here, and I would always block out my summer so I could go work at camp in New Hampshire. And we did a theater festival, a kids' theater festival. And my job was props, masks, some set pieces, but I worked with a lot of kids, and so I set them to work making things. And that's when I told Natalie you can make armor out of pieces of cardboard. That's what we did the Odyssey one year, and we made armor out of pieces of cardboard. If you make it pliable enough, it becomes like leather. You can just sort of work it so it becomes like leather. And then you can cut it and paint it and wear it. And it lasts a while. I also learned there that you could take tissue paper and use fuchsia floor wax, which tissue paper is very fragile, but it's beautiful to work with. So if you have a lightweight armament, I think that's the word, the thing that goes inside a sculpture.
Armature.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, an armature. And we did Gulliver's Travels one year, and I made all of these, I think they're called Winnies or something like that, this island of horses. And so I made all these masks out of plastic straws for the lightweight armature that they could wear. It went over the head and then out into a horse's face. And so the armature was the straws, which I taped together, and then over that I put tissue paper, coated it with fuchsia flower wax. What fuchsia flower wax does, it's one of the original polyurethane coverings for linoleum. And it makes it hard and tough and waterproof, believe it or not.
Is it yellow?
No, it's clear.
No!
In their advertisement, they say clear floors. So clear linoleum. So no, they would never make it yellow. Anyway, they stopped making fuchsia floor wax, but it became another product. You can still buy it in the hardware store and occasionally in a grocery store. Anyway, fuchsia floor wax opened up.
That's a great tip right
there.
there. Oh my God.
You can sort of sculpt with it too, but I found that Mod Podge also works. So you can do tissue paper with Mod Podge and sculpt it into shapes, and it becomes hard. In fact, I'm going to show you something. Hang on. Here it comes.
I think knowing that fuchsia floor wax works with tissue paper and makes it moldable.
Oh, it's a hot tip. I learned that from another sculptor who also, he did things like, who was the guy with the one eye, the giant? With
Cyclops?
He did the Cyclops, which was giant, and he made it out of PVC piping and sheets, bed sheets, stapling bed sheets up. The armature was PVC and then the bed sheets. And he made this giant thing, and we had an eye that you could stab and blood would come out. It was really exciting for the Odyssey. Anyway, this is tissue paper with fuchsia floor wax.
That's pretty cool too, because I would imagine like there's some tissue papers that are more see-through than others. Is this painted also?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, I bet you could get stuff that'll be transparent and would emit light and stuff.
Yes. You can make, I've also thought that you could do room dividers with tissue paper and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It'd be beautiful.
It would
It'd be beautiful. And you could roll it up and hang it when you needed it.
Here, I'm just gonna, so that you can see the whole thing. Here it is back here. And I'm gonna bring it closer. Look at all the painting work. And
And
then,
this is the other side.
I was gonna say, and then you get the back. Now, I know that this thing is a plastic jug.
It's a kitty litter container.
It's a kitty litter container that she's decorated. And what is, and this,
These are the things that come in your sneakers when you order them online.
oh,
The shoe.
yeah, the shoe holders.
Yeah,
The
shoe holders.
Holder and placers.
And then this is these are Starbucks serving trays. And these are from egg cartons. Here's more tissue paper. And then, it's lots of fun. I recommend doing this. It's very therapeutic to turn something into something else.
Yeah. God, this is so fun. All right, I'm putting this down.
And then can I show Mother Nature?
Yeah, show her what.
Okay, hang on, guys.
We're going to get more stuff.
we're going
She's
to get
got a
Mother
lot of
Nature.
stuff here. It's all over, and it's amazing. This, you can't see this painting behind me, but this is one of her mom's pieces, and it's just it's rather large, but it's quite lovely as well. Here we go. Here comes Mother Nature.
My house is filled with art from my mom and my daughter. Here's Mother Nature. I don't know if you can see her. She turns, actually.
Here, let me try backing her up a little bit.
Okay, and I'm
Back
going
her up.
to I'll turn her on so you
Okay.
can see her
I
turn.
got the bottom.
And this is made from, how do I turn her on here?
Oh, she slowly turns. I'm not turning her. She's turning by herself. And
And I got this idea from Lisa. Lisa, thank you, because you told me about you were ordering something that revolved from Amazon and gave me the information, and I've used it ever since. Thank you so much.
And so this is like a giant bustier, basically.
Yeah.
So you can see the shape of the woman, top half of a woman with breasts and everything. And then you also see the insides.
The inside is an oasis.
And I'm
The
gonna-
outside is everything in the world. The inside is an oasis with butterflies.
It's fantastic. All right, I don't know how to turn it off though.
Okay, I don't know how to turn it off either. There's a switch somewhere.
Ah, you got it. Anyway, that's fantastic.
Okay, and that's made out of two kitty litter.
Two kitty litter boxes that are two kitty litter containers
Put together, glued together.
opened and put together.
Yeah. And so I've gone to laundromats and collected big laundry jugs. I haven't used them yet, but I can and will. I figured out how to cut handles off some things and attach them to other jugs, you know. So I got one in there waiting to be used who's like this, you know, sort of. And so that's. But anyway, so there's lots of irons in the fire here.
So I have a question then. If you went to Sarah Lawrence and you took art classes, did you actually think that you would be more of a painter? Or did you...
Oh, I thought I would be a painter.
You thought you would be a painter. So how did... Where did it shift?
It shifted...
You became more of a sculptor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still shifting, actually. Then I did dioramas, and I started doing those... Actually, when I was a set decorator for many, many years, and then in the film industry, and worked summers doing children's theater. So I wasn't taking myself very seriously as an exhibiting artist because I was busy, you know. And then I got married and I had my children very late. One was almost 40 years younger than me, and one was 46 years younger than me. I have a child who's 46 years younger than me. And there are pros and cons to having children late. And it's hard work. But when I stopped working and raised children, I thought, I'm going to start teaching little kids. Someone gave me a class for these little kids. I'm still doing this class, and it's wonderful. And I also thought, well, I'm an artist, so I should be doing artwork. And I thought, because I was studied with Judy Chicago, and we were making art out of our own experience, the woman's experience, I thought, maybe I can do domestic scenes. So I do have some domestic scenes. These are I'll show you one domestic scene.
Sure.
Can I go get it?
Yeah, go get
I'm
it.
so sorry.
Go get it. Don't be sorry.
I keep dashing out of frame.
No, it's okay, because then it gives me a chance to look. We froze and now it's blurry. Oh, it's okay now. Thank you. I'm sorry. The internet, I just never know what it's going to do. So, yes, the masks are beautiful. Oh, Doreen, you do summer camp for kids too? That's awesome. And you know what? I think working with kids helps keep you young in a sort of, in a way. You can't get stodgy working with kids, you know. She does remind me of D. Marcellus Cole, Georgia, very much so. All right.
Okay, so this was one of my domestic scenes. This was done a long time ago.
I'm moving forward so that you can see.
It's sculpted out of Sculpey and dolls' furniture, and
it's in a frame.
And it's in a frame.
It's
so I went to thrift shops and found frames that had depth, so I could, build out. I love Red Grooms, and I love Betty Saar, and those are my two guiding lights. So that's one, and then those expanded to not just domestic scenes, but fantasy scenes. And this is one called The Ascension, which is my dog being carried up to heaven led to heaven by a celestial rabbit. And
I love everything about that. I love the frame as much as I love the contents in the frame. Here, I'm going to take this for a second. I will bring it in. Here, I'm going to give you this so that I don't. Okay. Sorry about all the movement. So I'm just going to bring it a little closer so that you can see the rabbit and the dog. And then you can see that it's 2D, it's got extra.
So I started working with Sculpey, which I still like. I like Sculpey, but then I started working with toys, and I thought maybe I can just do dioramas with toys. So that will lead us to the dioramas.
So now we're talking diorama world. Okay, so here we go. Picking it up. Now, this is a deeper box. It's covered with crayons all the way around. And inside you can see somebody trying to harvest the moon.
Yeah, lassoing the moon.
Trying to rein in the moon there.
It's Dinosaur Bob, which I thought I created, but someone said, oh, I think Dinosaur Bob is a series of books. I didn't know, but
I'm tilting it in every direction so that you can sort of get more depth.
And this one has been resurrected from, rescued from the dusty shelf where it has been residing, and is going down to the makery today, hopefully. And
Aleka has a show coming up.
I'm in a show called, and some of you are also in that show, called Playtime, which is people who use play and toys in their work, which I think it's going to be a fantastic show.
I think so too.
So I've got 3 pieces going there. The toy pieces. Oh, and the toy pieces came when my children left the home. Empty nest. I thought, what am I going to do with all these crayons and art supplies and
right? You don't want to just throw them away
and stuff. So I've been harvesting their things. Now, of course, I venture far afield and find things at what's our place in Pasadena called?
Remainders?
Remainders. I love Remainders. It's my favorite place. So the dioramas I did for several years, and then I love them. I still love them. And I still think, oh, I'm going to go back to dioramas. But then during COVID, I started doing masks because I had done masks with children in the past. I knew it was fast, cheap, and easy. Not so fast, ultimately, when you do the detailing, but
all the
cheap and easy. So I'm still exploring the possibilities of using found objects and paper mache, found objects, plastic debris. Part of my inspiration, not just African masks, but the African artists who are working and exhibiting in the States always use a lot of texture, color, and found objects. Almost everyone I've seen has, applied surfaces, and there's a wonderful artist whose name, of course, eludes me, but who weaves bottle caps, and some plastic bottle caps, but also the metal bottle caps. And that's actually a folk art tradition to use tin. And it's something
right, anything that was extra.
Anything extra.
Because you couldn't just go out and buy stuff.
Right.
Nobody
and
had
it was
the money.
valuable. A bottle cap, a colorful bottle cap was valuable, which I appreciate. That's the ethos that I am working towards, that every scrap can be used for something to turn into art and also appreciate it.
Is there an avenue that you haven't explored yet that you really think that you'd like to move towards?
Yes, big.
Big?
Big outside. Oh, I forgot to mention Niki de Saint-Phal. Do you know who she is? Oh my God, she's a half French, half American artist. She's dead now. Who started out doing paper mache, big. And I was so mystified by how I saw her work 30 years ago outside the Pompidou Center in Paris. There's a fountain of Niki de Saint-Phal's work. She does big bulbous women made out of paper mache, bright white with bright colors on top of it. And then she has expanded. There's a place in San Diego that's a garden of Niki de Saint-Phal's giant works. It's Nikdestphale, Niki de Saint-Phal. And I've always wondered how could she do stuff outside? You can't do paper mache outside. So I've begun my research on what she uses. I think she uses latex to make her big sculptures. But that's my fantasy, is to do big things that could be outside, and also to fill a room with sort of I proposed this as a solo show at the Los Angeles Art Association. They didn't go for it. I'll try it again. To fill a room with like a growth of objects strung together, and like a jungle made of found objects that you would walk into.
Mm-hmm. Sounds interesting.
It sounds interesting.
I have a question now on a big paper mache work that would sit outside. Wouldn't your floor cleaner trick work?
Well, I'd have to use I think I'd have to use thicker polyurethane. That's because the future floor wax is thin. It's almost like water. Oh, by the way, the other thing that works for tissue paper is liquid starch.
Right.
And that's a kid thing. That's something we learned in preschool.
Right. Well, that's part of basic paper mache work. Remember?
Yeah. And so
you can get that at Target. They still have it.
Liquid starch?
Liquid starch.
Oh,
you can still get it at Target, because I just bought some not too long ago. You can't find it in regular supermarkets, but Target always has it.
I think liquid starch is good for attaching tissue paper. It's not so good for sculpting. I think future floor wax or Mod Podge would be better for
it takes
actually
too long
shaping.
it takes too long to dry.
Yeah.
But it's great for layering things.
Layering, beautiful. And So that's what I'd like to do. That's my, and plus I want to do your show of little teeny weeny things that would be that big and would be little bursts of something. I'm not sure what yet. Little bursts of color and energy.
Yeah, they don't know. I'm going to be curating a small show coming up in May at one of our local galleries, in which it's going to be teeny weeny things. So really, literally 3.5 inches by 2.5 inches. And so I announced it to a group of local artists. So we have somebody who's excited about it.
I'm so excited. I love the idea.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's what we're talking about there. Well, let me see what kind of questions there are, if any. So let's see. Again, they were telling me that it did stop up here and there, but there's not a lot I can do about that. And Cindy Rennie thinks that your show idea would be great, an Aleka jungle.
I think so too, yeah.
Tito's Tacos in Riverside would be a fun field trip for you. Sandy, you're going to have to explain that one.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Why would Tito's Tacos be a good field trip? Is there something exciting about Tito's Tacos? I know that there's one out in Culver City. I've never eaten there. I'm hoping that she comes through. And so, all right. I don't see anything exciting. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask. We're looking good. Is there anything you want to pull out that you really want people to see? You want to talk about? Something that we haven't covered yet? I mean, there's such fun stuff.
Yeah, I'll show you so I went to Italy for an artist residency, and we learned cyanotype, which was really fun. And I was with a bookmaker.
Yeah.
She was teaching, but I didn't do books, but I did a collage, which I'll show you.
Now, for those of you that don't know what cyanotype is, cyanotype uses 2 different chemicals. And you paint the chemicals onto a piece of paper or fabric or something, and then you lay down an object on top, and it could be a black and white print on like acetate, or it can be like a leaf, and you put it down, and then you set it in the sun, or at least under ultraviolet light, and then it does a chemical reaction, and then you put it in water and the chemicals wash away and you get like a negative print of what you've just done. And it is this beautiful inky blue color.
Yes.
It's really gorgeous. It's fun. I'm sure that you've seen it before.
So here's a...
Now, how are these cyanotypes? They've got so much color in them.
There's only there's a cyanotype. This is cyanotype.
The middle one?
Yeah. And... and this is, when I went to Italy, I had one suitcase, so I brought these little boards, 1, 2, 3, I brought 6 boards, and then then I collected plants. This is a plant that I Mod Podged. I also brought Mod Podge, a small thing. And collected plants and cut up Italian papers, and we had some religious books that we were cutting up and this and that. So some art books. And so this is a fun thing that I did recently. And then this is Tiger, which was in the show down at the Makery for the SWICA, which is the Southern California Women Artists Caucus for the Arts, SWICA. And if you're not part of a group, you can join Arroyo, which we love madly, Arroyo Arts Collective, or you can join SWICA. And SWICA has chapters all over. It's not SWICA, it's the caucus, American Women's Caucus for the Arts. It's all over the country. It's a wonderful thing to be a member of. It only costs $75 to join.
And I've talked about this a million times, and I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but you have to be with people who are doing art. You have to be with people that are like you, because you can't live in a vacuum.
Right, and it's fun, and I feed off everybody. I go I go into a show now or see other people's work and think, what can I learn from this? What can I glean from this visual experience that I can use in my own work? And
you were wording it so nicely. I just think, what can I steal? What can I steal from this process and make it mine? You know, I mean, this is fantastic. And I want to tell you, it's very lightweight. So here's the back of it. I mean, it is so light. How did you get your residency in France? How?
I'm
sorry, in Italy.
In Italy, we went. You can pay for them. You can
okay.
apply, and if you're lucky, they'll give you a scholarship or a grant. Or you can also just plunk your money down for 10 days of work. And you know what? It's absolutely. I get so much out of those. I've done it several times. I've gotten so much out of these residencies. Anywhere you can go to do a residency, go do it. Even if it's in town, go do it.
Now, did you have to give them anything in exchange for you being there? Did you have to leave them work or do anything like that?
Some places do that, but I didn't.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
I know some places will say you can stay here for free and, you'll be provided a place to live. You're on your own for food and whatever in your supplies. And then also you have to either give an artist talk or leave a work here or teach a class or, whatever.
Yeah.
Depends on the situation.
But I realized that I couldn't work in isolation, and I do work in isolation. All of us work in our own studios unless we're sharing studios, but the fact that you can swap information or ask for help for solutions to problems that you're in terms of where to proceed or how to do this or materials to use. I get a lot of information from my fellow artists.
Ask questions. I mean, just like I'm talking to you, I have learned so much doing these interviews, talking to artists and figuring how do they do things? How, where do they get their information? Where did it come from? I mean, this stuff is all valuable and you just can't get it all by yourself. You can read and stuff, but that's not gonna always do it.
Plus, if you're in a slump and you think, I don't know what to do, and also, why am I doing this is a big question. And I really, that has really struck home because I have a storage area full of my mother's art. What's the impulse to create and what do you do with it? I mean, so I'm still grappling with that. If anybody's got solutions to other people's artwork, or if anybody has solutions.
I have one solution.
What?
Anyway.
What?
I know I've talked to Margaret Garcia about this, and she actually made a deal with UCLA that she would leave them all her artwork upon her death so that they can do stuff with it.
Oh.
So, I mean, that's maybe if there's an alma mater or a college that you went to or some sort of association that you're affiliated with, you might want to ask them if they're interested in having, your work willed to them later. I don't want to say that.
Well, that's a brilliant idea. Word. Yeah. What a good idea. Of course, you have to fight your own insecurity. Who wants my work?
Right.
It's just
right. Here. So, to answer the Tito's Tacos question,
okay.
Sandy said that it's full of metal and tin sculptures. So the Tito's Tacos specifically in Riverside.
Okay.
And Cindy's asking this question. And Cindy also says the sculptures there are amazing. So she says, when did you decide that what you're creating is fine art?
Oh, what an excellent question.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Well, because I had this strong-willed feminist artist mother who was she was angry. She was pissed off a lot of the time because...
She was an angry artist too?
She was an angry woman artist because she really understood in the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, that women's art was denigrated to a certain degree. It's not serious. I'm not doing serious art. I'm doing art that makes people happy, or it's playful, or it's funny, or it's, interesting or thought-provoking, but it's not serious.
So you're going to have to define the word serious for me.
Serious would be...
serious because it's, I don't know, it's chock full of philosophical ideas.
Though you could say that using recycled materials is perhaps the most profound revolutionary thought one could do. This actually, I'm not alone in using recycled materials. There is a movement afoot.
Totally.
To do, and really serious environmental artists will not buy anything, will not buy paint, because it's, a poison that you're adding to the earth. Will not buy glue, because it's a poison that you're adding to the earth. It's, or even textile artists. My daughter, who is a textile artist, no longer uses thread because you would have to buy it.
Oh.
So what she does is she takes strips of fabric that she already exists, recycled fabric, and weaves together her pieces. And it's a deliberate choice, a political choice in a sense.
Right.
So to go back to our thoughts about serious art, there are people who are trying to accomplish other things than what I'm trying to accomplish, and I really respect that. And my mom ended up doing abstract art, and went through a lot of the stages she did. Op art and abstract art, and she was an early, they were influenced when they were very young by things coming from Paris, by what was Impressionism, and then Post-Impressionism, and then the Fauvists, and the, Cubists, and all of the stuff that came to the United States from Europe in the 20th century, in the 1900s, I guess. So to go back to the question of serious art, that might be a question for someone who actually does takes their art serious. I take my art seriously because I think it's, I know people will enjoy it, and maybe it's just who I am.
So Cindy says, I didn't mean serious art or not, just seeing yourself as a professional. You exhibit in galleries.
I do exhibit in galleries, but that's relatively new. One of the best shows I ever did was for, during the pandemic, we mounted a show, and it was like an art drive-by. I think it was a movement.
Oh, right.
Yeah, for one day, all over the country, people did art drive-bys. So I hung all my stuff that I had then from my garage on the street and invited people to come drive by. And I also put out chairs. It was during the pandemic, so we had to have things 6 feet away and everything. I had refreshments that were wrapped and individual bottles of water. So people would actually come park and come stroll by. But I felt like it was a great way to see art in a public place. So public art. And I also have often felt like art was too precious, and that I did believe in public art, or that art should be free, or that, you shouldn't charge for art. You should encourage people to embrace it and take it if it's, like posters on the sides of buildings.
You know what? I totally see both sides of this, but I also see the side where I'm doing stuff. I'm working. I'm spending my time, and although I love it, my time isn't free.
Oh no! I work. When I charge very little for a piece of artwork, I always think that was like 3 weeks of artwork.
Right, and I mean, there is a part of me that is at least in the place where my artwork is, I mean, I will never recoup all
No,
the time
never,
I
never.
spend. If I charged, $10, $20, $30 an hour, I would never see how much time I put into a piece come back to me monetarily.
Never.
I mean,
so we're doing it for some other reason. I mean, we go into it knowing that we probably will not be one of those artists that strike it rich. We go into it for love, I think. Don't you think?
so, okay, let's go back to this question of becoming a professional. So when did you first start exhibiting your work?
Well, I've been exhibiting my work, a piece here, a piece there, all along. And I've sold work, a piece here, a piece there. I had a real successful show about 7 years ago or 8 years ago at Kathy's Gallery at Avenue 50. And I sold 13 pieces, which I thought was just really exciting. But they were cheap, and I wanted people to buy them.
Right. And I have that feeling about my artwork too. I want people to hang real art in their houses. I don't want you to have a poster of the Georgia O'Keeffe. I love Georgia O'Keeffe, and have a poster if you want to too. But I mean, have something else. Support the people that are doing this stuff because it's so fantastic.
It is.
You get a piece of them every time you buy a piece. I mean, you're taking a piece of their imagination home with you.
Right. And pricing is also very dicey.
Yeah. And this is
because you want them to be able to afford it, but you want them to take it seriously as art. And so is $600 too much? Is $1,000 way too much?
Right.
But it also has to do with self-esteem, I think. I mean, I know people who charge many thousands of dollars for their work, and they don't sell them.
Right.
So I'm curious as to whether they go into it to say, I'm not going to sell this, but I'm going to price it at $3,000, or whether they go into it thinking, somebody's going to buy this for $3,000. I just don't understand how that works. And if any of you have a clue about that, give me some information, because I'm still in the spot where my masks are $600 now, and there's part of me that thinks if I don't sell it, it's fine, because it's like a family of a menagerie, part of a menagerie. But part of me that thinks, who's going to spend $600 on something that's made of paper mache and cardboard?
Well, now we're talking about something else, because this isn't about art anymore, but this is about mindset
and self-worth.
This is and this is a whole different conversation, and that's a lot harder. That's a lot harder.
But I'm also angling, as speaking of your donating to places, I think some of my masks might end up at Children's Hospital as a donation, which I would love that, And so that's somebody suggested that and knows someone else, and so I'm sort of pursuing it. I might not be ready to donate yet, but that's what I like. An ultimate goal of where my art would hang up after I'm dead. I'd love it to be at Children's Hospital or someplace like that. So people could appreciate it. The kids would amuse everyone. They'd look at it. They'd say, "Oh, look, that's made of such and such."
Right. Cindy says, "Change that mindset."
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Cindy. Cindy, tell me what you think. That's what I want to know.
About mindset?
No, about pricing, about how about work and art.
You know what? This is a conversation that I've had so many times with so many artists. I've had it with Cindy when I interviewed her, and I mean, it comes up in conversations all the time. People are always asking me, how do I price my art? How do I price my art? And it's really a hard one, because I can't tell you. It's the hardest thing. But the biggest part, though, is knowing that your work is worth it. And not thinking it's too little, and understanding that, I'm going to get a little woo-woo here, that the universe is vast. And when you ask for something from the universe, you don't have to see how it's going to happen. It just happens. Mm-hmm. They're magical. Mm-hmm. It's magical. Whatever it is, it's magical, and it creates things that we have no way of foreseeing. Situations come up. I don't know. That's all I can tell you. And then you just got to believe that that's true, and that can happen.
It's true. And I think since I just took down a show that was on Melrose Avenue in a beautiful gallery. And I had 13 pieces there. And I sold one. I sold the lion, who was the companion piece to the tiger. And I'm still sort of in mourning because I love the lion. And, you know, that's the problem. You get rid of your work. It's like having a litter of puppies that you've grown very attached to, or kittens, and then you have to send them off to good homes, and you're worried that your artwork will be appreciated where it's going. Or
But you're an artist. You can make another one.
That's right. But I always say that, but I almost never do make the same, a similar thing. But one of my best sales ever was a diorama that was made with troll dolls around a campfire. Very tiny. It was $100 at someone's house for a Christmas sale, and a 13-year-old girl bought it. And that was my best sale ever.
That's incredible.
Because I knew that she fell in love with this piece because it was trolls and it was so cute. And she'll have it the rest of her life. It's a wonderful thing.
So Cindy says pricing is hard. You want to sell, but also feel it's worth more. So I change the prices a bit with my mood.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I'm about to go down to the makery for the toy show, and I'm thinking, this used to be $350, but now I charge $600. So, I guess it's a thin line. It's a thin line because I've gone to shows where something was $350, and I think to myself, that's such a deal. That's so beautiful for $350. Someone should buy it, and I've even bought things.
I recognize that line in myself. Somebody should buy this.
Yeah. And I think it's not in the eye of the beholder. I think it's in the eye of the artist. Don't you think? The dude who's charged $3,000 for the painting that didn't sell. What was that about? Who knows?
Another thing, you just never know what people have got in their pasts that influence the way they act right now. You just don't know. For all you know, they were poor kids, and the only way they got any self-worth was by saying something was expensive and calling it theirs.
Yeah.
There's so many facets to that. It could just
like the fake Kate Spade bags.
Exactly. And people carry around proudly. Yeah. I wanted to just share my best sale. My best sale happened, it was one of my very first shows, and I did a whole series on tornadoes.
Ooh.
And the tornadoes were representatives of people's lives, and how everything gets crazy sometimes. And this woman bought one of the larger pieces, and at that time it was $650. I was so excited, number one, that I sold. But number two, I knew that she had a disheveled life and that it was coming to a point.
Oh my.
And it meant so much for her. She had gone through so much upheaval, and I knew that she was using it in contexts like this, and it meant so much to me that she had it because it was so representational of where she was in that very moment in her world. It was so cool. I don't know where she is now or what she did with the painting. I hope she's happy.
Once with my previous husband, before he was my husband, he had my artwork in his apartment in New Haven, and there was a burglary, and they stole my artwork, and I was so flattered. I thought of all the things there wasn't very much of value, but my artwork, really, someone liked it that much.
That's the best. All right, I think we're getting close to our time here. Do you have any parting words you want to give everybody?
Well, I just wanted to say that for 40 years, I did an art calendar every year as a Christmas present to my community of friends. And it was a recipe calendar because I love to cook and I love to gather recipes and I love to do artwork. And so I put them all together in these art calendars. Some of you might remember them because I stopped doing them about 4 years ago, which I'm a little sad about, but it got to be a very expensive project. but people still call me and say, "Oh, I miss your calendar. I have a place in my kitchen that doesn't have a calendar," and and even I miss my calendar because I have to find another calendar to fill the space. I did that and I sent it out for free. It was very expensive. It was like a vanity project, but also a kind of a gift, gift project.
It was a gift, yeah.
Yeah, that people really appreciate. And a calendar is great because people will use it, for 12 months. It's a throwaway
and they're
thing.
Always reminded of you.
And some of them keep them. Some of them call me and say, I have a whole collection, it's a lot of calendars. And so that's something that I did in terms of public art or art for the masses. That was my little attempt to do something that people would use and appreciate and maybe keep for at least a year, for 12 months.
So are your parting words do something that somebody, what's your parting words?
My parting words.
Confused.
My parting words, yes, my parting words are do stuff that you love that other people will enjoy. Maybe they'll buy them, but they'll enjoy them. And I think that's my parting words. Love your own artwork. If you don't love it, make it so you love it.
Yeah, I was going to say change it.
Yeah, change it. And the nice thing is there's no mistakes, right? Any mistake you make, you can use, you can fix, you can do whatever.
You can do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for sitting with me.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Have a beautiful day.
Bye.
I'll see you all later. Wise words. Yep.